Good afternoon. This is Gloria Nelson with the TUG organization, and it's our pleasure to welcome you this afternoon to UnForm's presentation on cloud and network printing for CSD. This session is being recorded, will be available sometime tomorrow for posterity's sake, and you can access it by going to our TUG website and clicking on the webinar button, as well as being posted on our All Members Forum page. It's our pleasure this afternoon to welcome the lead player here, Paul, which I'll get to in just a moment. But before we do that, I would like to just go through a little bit of information with regard to giving a plug for TUG. It's that time, so make sure that you've already saved the dates on your calendar and head on over to the website so that you can register for TUG Connects 2020. We don't want you to miss a moment of the wonderful things that we have planned in terms of content. The keynote on Monday, March 9th, is going to be Nick Tassler, who is author and thought leader and will deliver the keynote on this day. Nick is an internationally acclaimed, thought-leading organizational psychologist and #1 best-selling author of 4 counterintuitive books on the art and science of making decisions and leading change. And on Tuesday, the 10th, we're excited to hear from the new Infor CEO, Kevin Samuelson, on the changes coming from Infor, and also from Kelly Squizzero, Infor's Director of Industry and Solution Strategies, on changes and distribution in the distribution industry. So make sure that you've got those dates marked down on your calendar, and if you've not yet registered, please pop on over to the TUG website for more information and to begin that registration process. At this time, it is my distinct pleasure to turn the program over to Paul Boushell. I'm going to make him presenter, and Paul is going to be taking a few moments before he turns the program over to UnForm's Alan Miglore regarding their software. So go ahead and take it away, Paul.
Okay, let me.
If you want to allow screen sharing on your end.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for, Gloria.
It's a little box.
Gloria, the screen share is not showing up.
Let's see, let me take it back real quickly. See if I can do that, and we'll try it once again. Thank you for everyone's forbearance as we're working through some of our technical challenges right now. And let me try this again. Paul, you should be seeing my PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I'm there. Got it.
Okay. I see you signed in twice. Maybe that's why. I see you signed on as an organizer as well as a panelist. So
yeah, I got kicked out during your initial presentation and had to come back in.
Okay, that explains it. So let me go on and try your second login and see if that helps.
All right, there we go. You should be able to see my screen now. Ah, very good.
Thank you.
All right. So today's topic is CirrusPrint for Cloud Suite distribution. And what we're going to focus on today is cloud printing implementation options using some of the various UnForm products. I'm just going to step through a couple of quick slides to kind of go and do an overview of the concept and the components we use to do different things. But I do want to make sure everybody understands this is kind of the first in a series of webinars we're going to do with, to go through all of the different options that you can use the UnForm solutions for with both Cloud Suite and IDM. So with CirrusPrint for CSD, you have an option just to use CirrusPrint. And what that does is it takes the email output from Cloud Suite, whether it's the IDM forms or PDFs, and it comes through CirrusPrint, and CirrusPrint delivers them to branch locations and to the printers there, and they can be either standard printers, email printers, cloud capable printers, any kind of printer is compatible with it. So with CirrusPrint in the mix, you don't necessarily have to go buy new printers. You can use your existing printers to get the print jobs to it. You can also deliver the output to mobile devices or just to someone's desktop if you want to as well. So it runs on Windows or Linux. You can run it in the cloud or in your own data center. You can get documents into CirrusPrint a variety of ways. It's very easy to configure and it's easy to integrate with different applications. And again, you don't have to go through, Google Cloud Print, or you don't have to register with your different printers' print services to use it. And the components needed to do it are simply CirrusPrint. So if you plug CirrusPrint in the mix there, not only does it get the print jobs to your printers quickly and with total control over that print process, but it's just a very efficient way to do it. You can also use CirrusPrint and UnForm print management as well. So you got a couple extra options here. So when Cloud Suite outputs the XML data that they've developed for the various forms, invoices, pick tickets, and those kinds of things, we deliver via the enterprise connector through CirrusPrint to UnForm, the print management solution. And that allows you to design forms and reports and customize them to a lot more detail than what the standard offering has. And then again, you can email, fax those, or push them back out to CirrusPrint. At the same time, we can take the IDM forms or PDF documents, push those over to CirrusPrint, and then again, deliver them to remote locations using either standard printers or whatever printers you've got there. We can also push the forms and reports that have been generated by UnForm using the APIs into IDM, if you so desire. And what this does is it really does give you complete control of the entire process. So you're not having to go through Google Cloud Print. You retain control of all that data so nobody can data mine it. You have logging from end to end. So if the print doesn't show up, you can go back and figure out where it went wrong and based on all the logging and tracking audit trails that are out there. Again, you don't need email capable printers. You can use standard printers to do it. You don't have to set up accounts with third-party printer vendors. It helps to mitigate some of the speed issues associated with going from email to print. And you can retain a lot of the advanced features used to design your forms. So you can still do duplex printing. You can control what paper tray you're using, and you can do changes to documents based on content within there. So those are just some of the examples. I mean, again, you can do, your full UnForm transformation of that print data to whatever it is you need to do with it. And Gloria, that is it for our introduction. So we'd like to go ahead and pass it over to Alan now, if we could.
Okay, so I remembered to unmute myself, which is good. I'm presuming that my screen is now visible to everybody. What we're looking at here is an admin screen into a demo CirrusPrint server that's running out in the cloud that we're going to use today. On our administration of that, we can see the different elements that are involved in a CirrusPrint installation. One of those key things is locations. We have a location here that is my PC that I'm demoing on. And that PC is running a CirrusPrint client. This is a very lightweight client, runs on little Windows boxes or Linux boxes. You could probably even run it on a Raspberry Pi if you were so inclined. This connection right here, this client is maintaining a static connection up to this server. So that is how we work around the thing. You don't need any VPN. You don't need to do anything special on firewalls at the client end. You do need, of course, to open up ports, whatever port we're listening on up at the server. But because we're going from remote to the server, we eliminate a lot of the configuration headaches that you get trying to set up printing over a VPN. Now this location just simply represents my PC, and that PC I've set up several output devices. You can see I've got a local printer here called the Talon printer, given an ID of just Allen Dell, and some other options here. That Allen Dell printer is this guy right here. This is on my desktop, just a printer that goes to a printer at my house actually. And I've got it paused so we can see things that are going to happen. Another thing is you need to set up input sources, and for CSD, the key input source is going to be an email box. Now we've got one set up that's just called printers at Synergetic-Data.com. That mailbox is what CirrusPrint monitors under IMAP. And it keeps it clean. It supports a whitelist, so you can see we're only going to accept jobs coming in from 2 domains, for example. And then we have on our mail server actually some aliases defined for this. We don't have to dedicate a specific email address to one printer. We can actually set up special aliases, or like in the case of Office 365, we set up groups with this email box as the only member. And we look for special configurations of the to address coming in. So in this case, if I have a to address that's allenpc.allendell@, and then our domain name, that's actually going to land in the printer's mailbox. CirrusPrint will pick it up and know that's the destination for that job, is that location, that device. Now let's take a look at how that's set up over in Cloud Suite. We have a printer defined in Cloud Suite, and its device is simply CloudPrint, and then the alias to our printer location. Notice it's allenpc.allendell. Whenever I email anything to that location, to that email address, it's going to go through CirrusPrint. It's going to figure out that whatever attachments are supposed to go to my Talon printer. It's just a routing that takes place, matching up location, printer ID, and the device that's associated with that. If I go into Cloud Suite now, if I look at our administrative options for sales order acknowledgements, those are going through IDM output management. So that's handling all the formatting, generation of a PDF file. So if I'm over here and I choose to print this acknowledgement, and I print it to this printer, which is the one that's going to go through that email address, I'm going to submit that, and pretty shortly we will see the job land over here in my Talon printer. There it is. Now one thing to note, this output device is a PCL6 printer. So even though Cloud Suite sent a PDF, CirrusPrint's able to do conversion dynamically. So it sees the PDF and it converts that to a PCL6 format before sending it out. So it'll be compatible with this printer out here. So that's one option. Now let's take another option here, going through UnForm. I've got another output device here. This one is not a printer, it's actually a file destination, and CirrusPrint offers a pretty rich way to generate file names. In this case, we're going to my desktop, a folder called CP Files, and we're taking the base name of the file, adding a sequencer and the extension. and that is this folder right here. So whenever something comes into Allen PC CP files, it's going to land in this folder right here. Now we'll go a step further here and go back to Cloud Suite, look at administrative options for, let me get that out of the way, for other formats here, invoices. Okay, we got print format for third-party output. Now what that means is Cloud Suite's going to be sending its output as XML and dropping it where an Enterprise Ion connector is running. I've got that set up over here. Now in this case, this is a different machine. It's a Windows box. It's got a input source that is where the Ion connector is dropping the XML BODs. And you'll notice that that is targeting this output device, SX.e demo UnForm. That output device has a filter. And that filter is going to run an UnForm command line, and UnForm is able to talk to the CirrusPrint API. And so there's a real simple output device in UnForm that it recognizes, CP : and then the location ID and the device ID. So what's going to happen now is when I go to print an invoice, in this case, it doesn't matter what my printer name is because that XML BOD is all that's going to go out. It's going to go land on our machine where our connector is. It's going to forward that on as XML to UnForm. UnForm is going to send it out to a CirrusPrint device that's actually going to be here on my PC. So if I submit this one, so that's going a little bit longer route. It is going through UnForm. UnForm's doing all of its normal stuff. It's able to do archiving, e-delivery, faxing, all the things that we normally think of UnForm being able to do. So here's that job, and here's the UnForm output. And back on the UnForm server, whatever else it wanted to do, like archiving and so on, it did. So that's how we can integrate UnForm with CirrusPrint inbound and outbound and deliver the UnForm results out to a remote location. So that is our demo of how we're doing our integrations, both simply out of IDM printing and also through the Ion BOD output through UnForm and then back out to a remote location.
Alan, are you ready to address the questions that we have in our question?
I'm just trying to think real quick if I forgot anything, and I don't think I did. So yeah, let's take a look at questions.
Okay, great. First question that we had posted is, will we be sending out a recording after the demo? And yes, we post all of the uploaded links to our webinar channel, excuse me, on the TUG webinar all members forum. And you can review it there if you want to look at anything in terms of a deeper dive that might have not been grasped initially, as well as share it with other colleagues who would benefit from today's webinar. And the next question is, what are the options if we are not using UnForm?
Okay, that was actually the very first part of our demonstration, where CirrusPrint is basically a cloud or an email to print mechanism. We have, let's see, where did it go? We had an input source that was an email, and we had set up aliases for the different printers that we wanted to support. Each alias has a name construction that's simply a location ID and a dot and an output device ID. And that can actually be anywhere in the to address. It doesn't have to be the only elements of the to address. So back, what we did is in the printer setup, we are just simply telling SX to email this address, which is an alias, to printers at Synergetic-Data.com. And by the way, this is talking to your mail server in your environment. There are no third parties involved with a CirrusPrint installation. That's one of the key benefits of it. Actually, in fact, some of our biggest CirrusPrint clients are HR services clients, where they simply cannot legally go through a third party to transmit their print data. So they control everything end to end. And you can do that, of course, yourself, because you're using your own mail server and your own CirrusPrint installation, your own CirrusPrint clients. But that's all it is. For IDM output, it's just simply going to be emailing it to an address that CirrusPrint's monitoring figures out where to send it.
Okay, great. The next question says, we are a single location, no branches. Will CirrusPrint still work in our environment?
Yes, because the CirrusPrint client can reside on the same machine as the CirrusPrint server, which can reside on any machine you want it to.
Wonderful. Thank you. And the next question says, will CirrusPrint eliminate the header page that comes out with every form sent through IDM/HP ePrint?
I'm presuming that header page is coming from HP ePrint. And so the answer would be yes. I mean, there's nothing added by CirrusPrint output.
Okay. And the next question, can NowDocs be integrated to CirrusPrint?
Yeah, I would think so. Because CirrusPrint is a delivery mechanism, and it can, in fact, let me show you our output devices. Just add a new one here so you can see the options here. So target type. So this is where the client is going to be delivering something, a document to something at its remote location, wherever it's running. Of course, the default is a printer. So any of the printers at that remote location. You can also send it to file, which we saw that where we drop things into this desktop folder over here. You can also have it run a command line with the document that it's being sent out, and that might be how you can send things out through NowDocs. Or you can treat it as a network printer, which is just simply an IP address and an optional port. So if NowDocs has a way of receiving things through a network printer port, it could simulate that. So yeah, I would think so. I mean, we've never been asked to look at that, but there's so many different ways that you can route things. I could imagine we could figure out how it would work.
Okay. The next question, does UnForm solution replace Infor document management, also known in acronyms as IDM?
Yes, it can, or it can work in conjunction with it. UnForm has its own output formatting, its own archiving, its own way of pulling or getting to documents in those archives from the Cirrus, the Cloud Suite screens. And it also handles inbound documents through our image manager. So yeah, I mean, it's a complete document management solution. But again, it also can work with IDM. We know how to work with their APIs and can push UnForm PDF output into IDM and so forth. So it's sort of a mix and match situation.
I had another question pop up wanting to know if anyone joined late, if this would be recorded? And the answer to that question is yes. This will be available tomorrow at the TUG website on our webinar tab, as well as being posted to the All Members Forum with the direct link for today's presentation. Next question, is there an SDSI cloud server involved, or are all the endpoints in for and things I arrange?
All the endpoints are things that you arrange. CirrusPrint is not offered as a cloud service. It's offered as a cloud compatible or prem compatible solution.
Okay, and our next question is, what is the cost involved with this technology?
Well, I'm not going to answer that one.
Well, the way it's priced based on the number of devices. So it's based on the number of printers, or if you want to deliver to a smartphone or something like that. But I think the pricing is very reasonable, and we'd be happy to talk to you about that.
Great answer, thank you. The next question is, it looks easy, but I'm sure that there's a lot more to configuration. Is there documentation somewhere on Infor site that explains how to set all that up?
On the Infor site, no, I'm not aware of any, but of course we have complete documentation.
Yeah, so on CirrusPrint.com you can get to all the documentation.
Yeah, and it's also always available with a little help button right here. But yes, the product is right here, CirrusPrint.com. Downloads here, documentation. Here's the manual.
Are you ready for the next question, gentlemen and ladies?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Does this have to be a mailbox for each location?
No. It's a mailbox for any company that is configured, which is typically going to be one. And again, because it's a single mailbox that supports aliases or other mechanisms to deliver into that mailbox, it supports any number of printers or devices.
Okay. Next question, is CirrusPrint an Infor product?
No.
That was easy.
I can tell you that one for sure.
Okay. And the next question, is CirrusPrint a standalone solution or part of UnForm document management solution?
It's standalone and has a lot of integration capability with UnForm.
And the next question, can a distribution group email be used?
Can a distribution group email? I think I need clarification.
Okay, Larry, if you can pop more information, we'll circle back to that if you want to elaborate on that a little bit more. So we'll proceed to the next question until Larry responds to that. Email to a print relies on IDM documents which are submitted to intermittent errors/failures, in parentheses, docs can mysteriously just not print. So what input and output logs, auditability, error reporting, and/or statuses are available to track missing or failed print jobs?
Well, there is definitely logging as jobs arrive in CirrusPrint. We of course don't have any logging of what happens out in IDM.
There's a quick correction here. It says subjected, not submitted.
I'm trying to think of how subjected. Okay.
So
well, here's the deal. So CirrusPrint is monitoring a mailbox, and anything that lands in that mailbox, it will pull in and pull off the attachments and the metadata, and as soon as we've done that, we have control of it and begin logging what happens. The delivery side of it is very fault tolerant because the clients out at the remote locations are very good at detecting, down network situations or whatever. The server side will just keep those documents spooled and ready to deliver as soon as the clients are back online and able to connect in, which they do automatically because they're running generally as a service, and they have detection to figure out, oh, my network's down. I'm going to try in 15 seconds and keep trying until the network comes back up again, and then they're connected in and pulled on everything that's been queued. The question of what happens out at the source of the documents, we don't have control over, nor does anybody else really, except the place or the application that's producing those documents. But as soon as it lands in the mailbox, we can get it.
Okay, and
So,
there is a clarification point on something that we had previously discussed. It says IDM/HPE print. The clarification is under IR form/HPE print. The added header pages do not print, only when IDM is in the mix. Maybe it's an issue specific to IBM versus IR.
I wonder if maybe that's controllable by a setting in IDM. If you need to manipulate the print job, then you really would need something like UnForm, which is capable of doing all that. CirrusPrint is just a pass-through. Other than a translation in format like PDF to PCL, for example, CirrusPrint doesn't do any modifications to the output. So if you do need something like that where you've got control to manipulate the document, then you'd probably need something like UnForm.
Okay, next question. Can CirrusPrint without UnForm handle printing for reports and documents that are not generated through IDM, in parentheses, forms, Cognos reports, etc.?
There are several ways to get documents into CirrusPrint. One of them is email. And so, that does not have to be email generated by IDM. It can be generated by any. You can send it something from your own Outlook, for example. It also supports input through ports on the CirrusPrint server, and those ports look and behave just like they were a network printer. So if the CirrusPrint server is in your network, running there, you can print to it just like a network printer. There's also file drop capability. In fact, that's how we are working with the ION connector output. That's a file drop situation where CirrusPrint's monitoring a folder, and those documents land, and CirrusPrint picks them up and forwards them on to the right device, or in our example here, it forwarded it on to UnForm and let it figure out the rest. So there's also an API, which I'm not sure. I don't think that there's any third parties that are talking to that API at this point. I mean, UnForm does, but it's available if someone wanted to do that, develop their own integrations to it. But it's very agnostic in terms of what, where the documents come from. So what we were showing today is, how IDM would send them, and that's, via an email output, via, the cloud print mechanism that's built into Cloud Suite distribution.
Okay. You touched briefly on cost, but the next question reiterates that again. What is cost, and then also complexity of implementation? Does it require an engineer to provision and set up?
It requires a little bit of training, but I wouldn't say it requires an engineer. There's no programming involved. You do need to understand how to set up access to a mail server. You know, when you set up a printer inbox, you need to know the login and so forth to that mail server. You need to know or understand that a remote connection, a remote location requires a CirrusPrint client. When it connects in, it actually tells the server what are my what are my printers. Makes it quite easy to set up printers. But no, I mean, I don't think it's certainly not an engineering level person. It does require some technical knowledge about how our printers set up and so forth. But it's nothing like our UnForm product, for instance, which implementation there does require some technical expertise.
Yeah, and as far as cost goes, we'll put my contact information up here in a few minutes, and you can just contact me, and we can figure out what the pricing is.
I will say we've had a number of installations of CirrusPrint where our support team never heard a word. So, and they're up and running.
Okay, next question. You mentioned CirrusPrint client. Does this client need to be installed on user's PC on-prem?
The client does need to be installed on-prem, okay, wherever the output devices are. So your printers in your office, your users out at home, whatever. There is a requirement that this client be installed, and this client is Windows or Linux. And like I said, it's a very low overhead, low footprint thing. And it requires, just 3 items of configuration, the server and the login, basically.
Next question. Are directory destinations considered a separate device for licensing/cost purposes?
Yes.
That was short and sweet.
Yeah. Well, let me show you. Okay, so this server right here has 19 devices, and you can see each one, all the files, all the printers, all the pop-up viewers. You can have a pop-up viewer device as long as the client's running not as a service but as a foreground application. And then we have browser users who are considered a device unto themselves.
Okay. The next question is, will this support multi-company use in SX.e?
Yeah, it's designed as a multi-company, multi-tenant service. You can see in this example right here, we just have one company, but we can set up any number of companies, and they all, each one set up will appear in this list. And have its own locations, output devices, input sources, and so on.
Okay, next question, and circling back to the question that came up with distribution group email push, can a group email be used, or does it have to be a mailbox?
You need a real mailbox, but that one mailbox supports any number of aliases or groups targeting the mailbox. So it depends on how your mail server works. For example, our mail server supports aliases. So I set up an alias for what was it, AlanPC .cp files at Synergetic-Data.com. So that was an alias. For the printer's address. Now in Office 365, you set up mail groups you give them the same naming structure, and you make the only member be the actual mailbox that we're monitoring. So you have any number of email addresses supporting any number of printers, but they all route through a single email mailbox. I don't know if that answers the question. I mean, you're only paying for one mailbox out at your email provider.
Okay, next question. Is IMAP the only protocol supported to access the email to print mailbox?
It is the only protocol. The only other one would be POP, and POP is older and doesn't support maintaining a static connection. And in fact, we could only poll it in many cases only every 15 minutes. So we didn't bother with POP. We went with IMAP.
And the next question that pops up also has another line of clarification. So if you'll give me a moment, I'll read through both, Alan. It says, if CirrusPrint is only looking at email with attachments, then does it mean that the PDF needs to have been generated to its final form first? In other words, before reaching Cirrus, or perhaps a text file is sent to this email from IDM and then UnForm can read it?
We'll pull all attachments off. And in fact, the input sources can have filters on them. So you could allow, .txt files, other file types beyond PDF. PDF has benefits if you are printing direct, because we can convert PDF to the different output formats like PCL and PostScript and so on. Plain text is just plain text, and that would probably be supported on most printers or by third-party applications. In fact, you could use UnForm in that environment, and I guess NowDocs as well.
Okay. Next question: can multiple CirrusPrint clients be deployed for continuity / high availability without mapping individual clients to specific / individual printers?
Yes. For any given location, okay, and locations own their output devices. So like my PC location owns these 4 output devices. Now I could have multiple users in my office connect using the same location ID, and the CirrusPrint server will just pick the first available one that's not currently doing anything and route the output to it. So you do want, if you do that, you want everybody to have the same configuration of printers and output devices, but you can't have any number of location clients connecting in under the same location ID. And that's used in some situations where you've got, you don't have, say, one machine that's always going to stay running in your office. Instead, you've got, you've got 6 different users, all with Windows PCs that may be on or may not. And if they all are configured to connect with the same location ID, one of them, as long as any one of them is connected, you will get the output to the device.
Okay, next question. Does CirrusPrint client work with Mac?
It probably would, because the client is, the Linux client is really just a Node.js executable and script. So we've never done it, but it is something that's written in an environment that would be compatible with Mac. It'd be non-graphical. It'd be a command line implementation. because it would just be the Linux version.
Okay.
So that's a big maybe.
Okay. I think we touched a bit on this, or maybe entirely, but the next question says, do we need to set up CirrusPrint server on-prem in order for this solution to work?
No, the CirrusPrint server can go anywhere. Can go anywhere that the location clients can connect to. So it's, it's very often installed up in AWS or Rackspace or some hosted environment.
Okay. Next question is, any issues for companies using Google Apps for Business for their email services?
Well, it does support the Google IMAP services. So sure, we don't care who your mail server is. We just care that it's an IMAP server.
Okay. Next question. Does it require a different email address per company?
It does require a different email address per company because otherwise we wouldn't know which location and device to send it to.
Which then dovetails with the next comment, not a question. It says, thank you for creating a product that fills the gaping hole left by Google's elimination of Google Print.
You're welcome.
And does the data communication between email and CirrusPrint encrypt?
Yes. Yeah, in fact, we require that. Either IMAP S, so just a straight out of the box SSL connection, or we can use Start TLS on an open one, but we actually won't connect to a mail server that is not offering one or the other.
So you've addressed that security issue. That's great. Can you share output devices for all companies like SX.e does?
Share output devices. Well, in CirrusPrint, companies are very much standalone entities. If you need devices to be shared, then what you really need is one company and multiple locations, because different locations can send output to any other locations within the company.
And it looks like the final question is, can the print device / server be a virtual machine?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah, both server and client run on virtual machines just very, very happily. I mean, in fact, that's what AWS is, right? It's all virtual machines.
Okay, and another question popped up. Does Cirrus publish a feature comparison of alternate products, in parentheses, versus printer logic, Laurentic, etc.?
We don't have anything that does a direct comparison between products. We do, in the manual, have a where is it, Cloud Print Comparisons page, which just references in general what other other ways to approach cloud printing and how CirrusPrint does it that's different.
Question, is Cirrus an Infor partner?
Well, Synergetic-Data Systems is an Infor partner. Infor does not resell CirrusPrint. They do resell UnForm, of course, and we've been a long partner with them. But today they do not resell CirrusPrint. That would be purchased through us or through one of our channel partners.
Okay, that looks to be the last question. Paul, I am going to unmute you. We had a little bit of feedback, and I'm going to now make you presenter so that you can pull up your closing slide. And if any other question pops up, I'll be sure to interject politely and let you know that there's still a pressing question or two.
Okay. So, again, this was the first part in, our intention to do a series of webinars stepping through the various ways that UnForm and the various UnForm applications can work with both Cloud Suite and with IDM. And again, there are a lot of different options. Our image manager can be used to push, scanned or imported documents either into our archive or into IDM or both. So again, there's different components of our document management solutions that you can use either, piecemeal or as an entire solution to take care of not only your, your print output needs, but also your document management needs as well. So again, we want to thank you guys for all being here today. And if you have questions, and for those of you that are looking for pricing, my contact information is here. So just, either shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'll be happy to provide you with, the pricing for CirrusPrint and for other components if you need to as well. And again, we hope to be doing the next session in this series within the next, month or so. So we'll keep you posted through TUG when that will be. And again, we want to thank you all for being for attending. And again, any questions, just let us know. Thanks.
We want to thank everyone from your company today for imparting such valuable information to our TUG members. And a reminder, this will be posted on our TUG webinar tab on our TUG site landing page. We'd like to thank you all for the great content and wish everyone a wonderful day. And as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.